Hey YouTube, it's Matt with Olympus Reptiles, and today we got the whiteboard out because we're going to be talking about some of the things I think are very important to a ball python business. If I don't drop all my writing utensils, I wasn't very well organized. Organization is very important. I suck at that. And then we're going to switch over to Patreon. And I'll be honest, guys, on Patreon today, if you join us there, we are going to have an intervention for one of the partners here at Olympus, and it's going to be a very, very somber and serious thing that we're all going to need your help with. It is not something I'm going to address in public because that wouldn't be right. So come join us there while we have an intervention for Kurt. I'll be honest, it's going to be for Kurt. Mine will come in a few weeks because I got a frozen margarita machine, and that's going to cause me to need an intervention because that thing is good. But this week's will be Kurt's intervention, so you just have to join us for that. But before we do that, we're going to talk a little bit about, I think, an important question I see come up a lot, and that is, when to replace your females. Okay, thank God. Okay, personal little moment. Every time I write on a dry erase board, even though I check the marker that this is dry erase, I see it up there, I get a little whiff, I think, oh shit, I just used a permanent marker and ruined this dry erase board. And I have to double check. So there's always that moment of panic, and I don't know why. I don't know what I did as a child or who hurt me, but apparently somebody is. So when do we get rid of our females? So there's a couple things to this, and this question comes up from talking with somebody on a forum somewhere, I think, and basically the thing that they were saying was there would be no reason to keep a het animal when it comes to recessive. Once you have a visual, just get rid of the het animal because it's no longer necessary because you have better genetics. Well, look, for me, this is going to be from my perspective. This isn't going to be from everybody's perspective. I will give you another perspective to this question before we're done. But from my perspective, there's only two reasons that I would ever get rid of proven adult females. So we're talking about here. Proven adult females. Reason number one. Out of room. Okay? When you get there, like, something has to go. Don't cram more shit in there where it can fit, right? Lay out your area. You know, if you can't get a bigger area, like we're in the area we want to be in, I don't foresee us going to a bigger area anytime soon, you know, and we're pretty full up. As a matter of fact, right now in FB70 cages, I have one left. That's not going to cut it, right? So you're like, well, shit, man. Olympus going to be dropping some proven females. No, I have more room for more cages. I just ordered 30 more tubs, right? Because until this room is full, I'm not out of room. I would rather invest in space than get rid of animals. So when I'm truly out of room, then it's time to sell adult females. And we'll talk about how we're going to pick the ones that we do that with when the time comes and the criteria that we're going to select to make that happen. Number two reason that we would get rid of adult females is really simple. Out of time. So that's me every day. However, we're rectifying the situation because, again, I'm leaving my long-term career, going to a career that provides more flexibility for me to continue to do what I want to do here. So that time issue gets helped. It also gets helped by having Caleb around. He helps take some of that off of my shoulders, and that is a massive help. So out of time, but if we're out of time, we can't keep adding more shit. So then we have to get rid of stuff. Because if we're out of time, we have to reach an equilibrium of how many animals we can have. So if we have, this is just for numbers, if we have space for 100, I only have time for 80. And get this, guys, when I say time for 80, if you have time for 80 adult females, and all you do is take care of that, and that's all you can keep up with, you don't have time for 80 adult females because you're going to breed those 80 and you're going to have babies and shit too. It's going to increase the total number. So we're talking about time for 80. We're talking about time for 80 to breed 80, to care for 80, means to feed those 80, means to feed those 80s babies. And we can get our asses up and go to work. If you can't do that, you got too many. Flat and simple. If you got too many because you can't care for them, that's a different problem. That's a time thing. So if we have space for 100 and time for 80, this is our max, okay? You cannot just keep going up just because you have the space. You have to have the time, or you're not going to take care of the animals at least to the minimum standard required. And the minimum standard probably shouldn't be our goal, right? But sometimes we're going to be at that. Sometimes we're going to be at the maximum standard. Depends on the week in life, you know. But if you can't meet what you at least need to meet to provide water, provide fresh, clean, you know, take care of that when the time comes. I'm not saying you can't be a little late every now and then and feed them properly. Then time is going to be your limiting factor other than space. So just keep that in mind. So once you reach those two, and let's say we've got our number in mind. For whatever it is for you, for us, it's going to be about 120 long term, I think. So then what happens? Okay, because you need to plan for this. You need to plan for this. And the idea of, well, just get rid of the hets and keep only visuals sounds really good on the surface, okay? And on the surface, it's not a bad idea. In some ways, it's what we're going to follow. But that can't be the only factor. I promise you. If that's the only factor, you're going to miss some opportunities. So when it comes time to choose, right? Now it's to choose who goes. So we're maxed out on either time or space right now. Okay? We have to pick which animal goes. There's 3 criteria I'm going to look at on these proven females. And they kind of go in this order. 1 and 2 are pretty close. You might swap them out depending on how it looks. 1 is odds. Okay? This is where, you know, like you have a visual versus a visual, not an L, versus a het. You're going to keep that, right? This is where if you have 3 genes versus 2 genes, assuming the genes are the same basic value, you're going to keep that. You know, depending on how it fits your project. So visual odds. Which animals provided me the best odds for my projects and for my wallet? That's going to be a big thing in choosing what we keep or what we get rid of. Number 2, and this is where keeping accurate records helps, is production. Now, we look at production in this way, okay? So like, if I have a snake that provides me better odds, but she goes every other year and drops 6 eggs, so I get a 3-egg average from her, okay? And then I have a snake that provides a little less odds, but she goes every year and drops 8 eggs. So we have an 8-egg average. Gee whiz, which one's actually providing better odds? So even if this one, okay, say this one's a visual, and this one's a het, but I get a 3-year average versus an 8-year, I should write that the same way, versus an 8-egg average, which one is going to provide better odds? In the whole world of things, this would provide me with 3 visuals per year. This would provide me 4 visuals per year, plus 4 hets. It's assuming I'm breeding a het male, which we would be. So in that case, this becomes more important than the odds. Now, if you pump this up to a 6-egg average instead of a 3-egg average, right? Say she goes 3 or 6 eggs every year versus 8, and I'm getting 6 visuals from this female every year, and I'm only getting 4 and 4 hets, I would probably go ahead and keep that. So that plays a factor. So you really, it's not as simple as this has this, this has that. Odds make a big difference. Production's huge though. I mean, production is a big, big deal. I don't want to keep a female who I have struggles getting good production out of. That's just the truth. You know, a smart breeder, right, is not parting with his best producing females. A smart breeder is looking at what this snake averages per year versus a smart breeder is making sure when he gets rid of something, he's getting rid of the animal that's the most advantageous for his business to part with, okay? There may be times you switch it up because you need some money and you want to buy some equipment or whatnot, but again, this is why you keep records. The third thing I look at is age, okay? Age. So, if I've got 2 snakes, and when I look at these things, it's pretty equal. Maybe the genes are the same. Maybe, like for a good example, I've got 2 visual pastel xanthic females here. They're the same age, but we're not going to play. Actually, I got one that's younger. So we got 3 pastel xanthic females here. Let's say they all average 6 eggs a year. They're all doing clockwork, and I decide I'm going to part with one because I've got too many of that and I'm out of space. I'm going to part with the oldest. So the oldest would be the one that goes away. The reason for that is, again, comes back to production. What we're looking at in that is if I've got a snake that's 10 years old and producing, 6 to 8 eggs a year, I got a snake that's doing the same thing, but she's 15 years old. The likelihood of that 15-year-old snake continuing to do it at that level is not as good as that 10-year-old snake. I've got more years of production out of that younger animal than I do the older animal. So if I have to choose one to sell, all things being equal, I'm going to sell the older one. Now, odds in production, to me, are most likely going to outweigh age every day of the week. And that's simply because when we get to full capacity, I'm going to be looking to replace so many females every year just to keep the collection young and viral and moving on and increasing in what we can do. That's what our grow-ups are for, right? We won't stop that, and we'll just put out so many adult females that we're going to part with. There are other factors, some other things that might cause you to part with a different animal if you don't follow this. Because, this is just kind of like for the in general. Whoa, didn't get enough liquid on there. There we go. Make this easy. Work smarter, not harder. That's what one of my teachers told me. Work smarter, not harder. So kids, use Chat GTP to do all your tests. Work smarter. No, don't do that. They found a way to figure out if you're cheating on that now. But anyway, this is why I shouldn't give scholastic advice. My wife is going to kill me if she watches that. She's a teacher, and I just advocated for cheating on your schools. Don't ever cheat, kids. Don't ever. No. Okay. Back to this. So, when would be another time you'd get rid of something that doesn't follow those three things? Well, project, right? Project. Now, project hopping. What I mean by project hopping is when you have somebody who's like, kind of like me. They want to go, ooh, shiny, 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 shiny in normal life. I don't do that in my snake business. And you'll see people like this. And I'll tell you, this is a good way to fail because they tend to start a lot of shit and not finish anything. And what I mean is it's like, oh, look, clown. I'm going to go over to the clown. Oh, man, clown's going out. Now I want Xanthic. Oh, man, now that's not popular. We're going to be on fucking mango. I don't even think that's a thing. It's going to come out later. Not here, but it's going to come out somewhere. And then, we're hopping over here to, everybody's back on Ghost. We're going to go back to Ghost. Oh, now we're going to hop over here and go to, somebody actually brought a female scale. So we're going to scales. And we can't ever decide. Don't project hop, okay? Don't do it. Don't project hop. If you like clown, then by God, keep breeding it. When it ceases to be, understand it's going to go down. It's going to come back up. It's going to go down. It may not go up to the point it was. It may not go down to the valley it once was. But it'll just kind of do that. So will like Xanthic. So will Ghost. Mango doesn't exist, so it probably won't. Whatever the gene is, that's what it's going to do. So stick to your guns. But that being said, is sometimes, especially when we're new, right? Or even when we're down the road a little bit. When I say don't project hop, that doesn't mean you can't ever abandon something. That just means that you can't constantly abandon and change direction because you'll never get your tires wet. Maybe you're over here doing several things and maybe you got into the scales project, okay? And still a little liquidy. Maybe you got into the scale list project and you decided, you know what, those females aren't setting on eggs, this isn't for me. I don't want to fuck with this anymore. It's not the direction I want to go. I've got these other 5 directions I'm consistent in. I'm going to go ahead and get out of that. Then that may dictate the females you get rid of. Because if it's something you decided you didn't want to work with, that's fine. Maybe you decide you didn't want to work with spider because you hate wobble. So you're going to get rid of spider. So then that would be gone from your project, right? These are project decisions. Although, let me help you out. If you're going to get rid of that because of wobble, no more spot nose, no more champagne, no more anything. That's an allelic combo with those. Yeah. So anyway, just keep that in mind. Get rid of all that crap because it all does the same thing. Oh, well, am I missing any in there, y'all? Any other wobbly shit that we should get rid of if we're going to back off of that project? What's that? There's a whole bunch. But my point being is no matter what reason, you know me, I'm going to get my little spider joke in there. If you go to leave a project, for whatever reason you choose, And I'm not saying you're invalid for choosing that. I'm just saying if you're going to hate on one, hate on the rest of them. That's okay. That's not what we're talking about with project hopping. That's deciding that this isn't what I want to be involved in for whatever reason. But project hopping is if you constantly are just in this cycle of stupidity. Don't be in the cycle of stupidity. And if you are in the cycle of stupidity, get out of that circle as quick as you can, because you'll be better off if you're not constantly changing. People who are selling you snakes love you, though, because you're always buying new shit that you're never finishing raising up to breed. Oh, you're always trying to buy adults to cheat the system and then getting out of it. So anyway, but but it's okay to leave a project. That would be one time when you would not worry about the 3 things we listed because you're wanting to move your collection in a different direction. That's going to happen. We're all going to do that at times, us included. You know, for us, it might be something like, a great example was we tried doing a super black pastel based on a few things. I can wait on that. And then we decided, no, we're not going to do that. Things drive me nuts because of the kinking. So we would leave anything in this. If it was solely dedicated, we'd get out. Right? That's getting out of a project because you don't trust the project anymore. That's not project hopping. So, that is a big part of that. The next thing we want to talk about, or should we keep that for the next video? Is this enough for one, or should we go on to the next part? What's that?
This is good for one.
Good for one video. So what that means, y'all, is if you want to see the next we're going to talk about, I'll give you a little hint in our next video, and that's going to come down to something really simple. When we get our next whiteboard out, I'll go ahead and write it up here for you. We're going to talk about knowing this. And this is something very important to know when you breed. It's also going to affect what animals you get rid of, what animals you keep, and how you do some of these things. And that is, who are you? And that's not what your name is. That's not, hey, are you established? That's not any of that. It's really talking about, what do you want to be in this industry? And we're going to cover that on the next one, and how that affects what females you keep and part with in your projects, how it affects your lifestyle and the things that you do in this hobby. Kurt, anything you want to add?
No.
Caleb, what about you?
I think you got it pretty good.
All right, guys, we're going to hop off here. We're going to have the intervention for camera guy Kurt. Very, very nice. So join us over on Patreon so we can do that. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you next time.